is What We Wish You Knew. And this is a discussion of sort of what we knew about what we wish you knew about how our lives actually worked.
That came to me in a bit of inspiration, because I get people that don't really fully understand what this looks like, and they think it's unhealthy or it's bad or whatever. And I'm going, what I wish you really knew is how it looks at my house. We have a guest tonight hosting with me, so we are going to be talking about this from two different perspectives. I am full-time live-in, and she is not at this point. Fingers crossed, though. But so we comes out a little differently in those ways, because we live together, and so part of our dynamic here is things like, did you do the dishes yet? Which, not sexy, but definitely necessary. So I have very few day-to-day rules. I think you have more, right? On like a daily basis? Yeah.
The rule, well, generally it just depends. I mean, the main rules tend to be, plug, drink, because of certain kinks that he has and everything that he enjoys and that I enjoy, and everything that pleases him. Like, make sure you get a drink, make sure you plug, at least for a little bit, at least make sure you drink once a day. And then he'll ask me if I've eaten and stuff like that, if I have a really bad tendency to forget to eat, to forget to take my medicine. He tends to take more of a daddy role with me in a lot of aspects, but then there's also that master role where he fluctuates between the two. And we don't live together. So what I'll do is, like, I'll text him and ask him what he wants me to wear, like makeup, bra, underwear, scrubs, t-shirt, whatever, depending on where I'm going or what he wants me to wear to yoga. And he wants me to do like these affirmation shots where I tell him I'm beautiful inside and out, and I will strive to do well for myself and for you as much as I can, because he and I both have hectic lives, and where we don't live together, it's a little bit harder. Now, whenever I saw him last a couple of weeks ago, because again, we have hectic lives. I'm in the medical field, he's in IT, and we both work like crazy. We're both workaholics, and we both have type A personalities, so constantly working, and we finally got time away to spend at least a day and a half together. And yes, there were some kinky things going on in the bedroom, but there was also, like, cuddled up on the couch watching movies together, eating pizza together, and he was like making sure I had food I could eat, making sure I had stuff to drink and stuff like that, and taking care of me, doing the daddy role. And he kind of got a laugh, because I have to have constant contact, because again, I do have that little side. I have that I have that little side where I have to have constant contact. It's something that makes me feel more secure. And he's slender, so I tried to shove my foot underneath his butt, and he's like, no, that's not going to work. So he let me put my foot on his leg, and he rested like his free hand on my leg, and ate pizza with the other hand. So I guess it's a good thing we were eating finger food. But that's generally our day-to-day. Like, I go to yoga, church, which he's fully supportive of. I journal, I work. I'm getting ready to go back to school. He works, and we both take care of our cats and do dishes and clean the house and stuff like that, and do laundry. And so, I mean, it's not just constantly.
It's not always the kinky stuff.
No, it's not.
We live together, so in addition to being your master and slave, we're a married couple too, and so we have all that normal day-to-day stuff. He works. I don't really fully understand what he does, I'll be honest with you. I know he works really hard. I don't really fully understand it.
Dude, join the club on that one. I don't understand fully what John does, or what he does.
I know he works really hard, but I don't really fully, I kind of understand it, but not really. I work from home, I do customer service, and so, during most of the day, plus there are 2 children that live at my house, and a cat and a dog, so there's lots of that day-to-day stuff. A lot of our dynamic centers around, he doesn't really have a lot of day-to-day rules for me, like in terms of what I wear and things of that nature. I'll ask him, but he really pays very little attention. He takes the tactic that if I am allowed to own it, I am allowed to wear it. if I wasn't allowed to wear it, I wouldn't be allowed to own it. It's largely his perspective. When we were living apart, one of the rules was he got daily pictures of whatever it was I was wearing. Didn't matter what it was. Even if it was jeans and a T-shirt, he still wanted to see, just so he could have that connection with my day-to-day life. Nowadays, he still gets dirty pictures a couple of times a week, just because he enjoys them and, get to make him happy. But my day-to-day rules center around little things. It's, did you make sure the dishes were done? I'm in charge of making sure dinner gets cooked. I'm in charge of, making sure he gets his massages because he has really bad problems with his back, and so that's often my job. Getting the gym bag together because we just got a gym membership. That's my job too, so that when we get ready to go to the gym, I can go, here you go. Here is your water bottle and your towel. We are good. And then we do maintenance at my house. That's part of the dynamic for us because it's not every interaction that we have is kinky. Not every interaction that we have, in fact, the vast majority of the interactions we have are not even really particularly overtly dynamic focused. I'm submissive to him as a slave all the time, but you wouldn't necessarily know that to look at it. We joke that it's a lot more Leave It to Beaver and less 50 Shades at my house. We do a lot of that. So we do maintenance kind of things where we'll break out the wooden spoon or the violet wand, which I love, a couple times a week, just because I don't get in trouble a lot. I don't get those reminders in that way. We've been together a long time. I rarely get in trouble anymore because we don't have a brat dynamic at my house. That's not something that works for me or for him. I have great respect for people that work if it works for them. We just don't do it at my house, and so we do a lot of maintenance because otherwise I end up losing that. I do wear my collar is on all several inches, of it, stainless steel. That stays on all the time. So that's fun. I have been asked about it exactly 3 times. Once was a woman from church who asked me about it, and we sort of danced around the subject a little bit and sort of left it at that. I had a woman at McDonald's ask me about it. She was super complimentary. She apparently has one too. And then I got congratulated on how wonderful it was to see somebody wearing theirs out when I went to the grocery store. So that's submission in a nutshell at my house. I go to McDonald's and I go to the grocery store and I wash dishes, a lot of washing dishes. That's always my chore. And there's 4 people at my house, so there's a lot of them. But I think a lot of it that I wanted to talk about is this topic in particular is because I think I hear these conversations for people that are not 24/7, where it's, and if you're not in this 24/7 and you're not in those roles 24/7, these are valid advice. Please do, don't think I mean that. But for 24/7 people, it doesn't really apply. Things like talking about things outside of dynamic. We don't have an outside of dynamic at my house, like ever.
We don't either. He and I don't either. It's but like we do both enjoy like talking about like there was something that scientists are trying to open up a parallel universe that he sent me that he thought that I would enjoy because I enjoy physics and reading about science stuff and everything for fun. And then somebody on Facebook, one of my Christian friends, had shared something about how there's different paradoxes, and goes along with what he sent to me. And we've been like both of us have been sharing back and forth to talk about and discuss that and everything. And so I mean, there's still like you'll hear me call him Sir and Daddy or War Tigger, because that's my nickname for him is Tigger, which there's a story behind that that's kind of funny about when we first met. But you'll hear that might be the extent of it with that. So it's not that it's outside of our dynamic, it's that this is like mutual interests are discussed. Things are discussed even though we still are in our dynamic 24/7. It's basically just like a normal relationship, except he owns me.
I saw somebody say that. How does it differ from a normal relationship? I was like, well, for us, it is a normal relationship. One of the quote-unquote rules at my house is that we watch The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. I started watching first and then got him into it. And when the 3rd season started, they do not release all at once, so we can't binge it, which is mildly annoying, but it is what it is. And so once a week, there's a new episode of The Handmaid's Tale. And it is absolutely not okay for me to ever watch The Handmaid's Tale before he gets home, because we watch this together. And it doesn't look like in the dynamic, I think, to other people necessarily, but it is for us. You know, it's not, it's one of the ways that I show him that respect, is to say, okay, we watch this together. We'll wait for you to get home. That's how this works. And so we have that. We argue like any couple. That happens. There are arguments. We're two adult human beings who live in the same space, and sometimes we're going to annoy each other. I think people get this idealized view of 24/7 relationships like ours, that nobody ever argues. No, we absolutely do. We are like any other married couple. We're going to have moments where it's like, oh my gosh, you are driving me crazy right now. And
no, he and I don't argue or anything really. Like, what happened was, there was one day that shortly after I saw him this last time, where I had said I missed him, and because I do have depression and PTSD and everything, it was apparently I wasn't aware and I hadn't noticed, and I think you had noticed this, where I would where I would get down and sad and everything, and I got angry at him, and I'm like, well, you don't miss me, you don't want to see, it's not like it is for me, like it's not like it is for you, like it is for me, and blah, 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 and I really hurt him. And he told me, why are you saying that? He said, I do miss you, I do want to see you, but we just saw each other. He said, hang on to the good stuff, because every time you focused on this, that we're not together, it takes away. It seems like for you, it takes away. And he's like, and then you get mad at me. And we were very candid when we talked to each other. About anything.
Yeah, we are.
But we tend to not argue. I tend to sulk. And he turns bratty, and he doesn't respond too well to that.
No, I imagine not. He wouldn't either. But,
and it's not healthy for me either, because so.
Yeah, we have the occasional argument. I mean, we don't argue all the time. Let's I don't want to give anybody that impression. We are genuinely thrilled and ecstatic to be together like 99.9% of the time. But every so often, especially when you live together, I think it's fairly normal that we kind of run into points where you just sort of butt heads over something, and you're just like, okay, yeah, that's really annoying me right now. And we have those discussions, and I think that's normal and it's natural. The difference for us and a non-DS couple, I think, is more how we argue. And I say that in the most respectful way possible. There are points at which it's not outside of dynamic for us even then. Yes, I made speak my piece, as it were, as his partner, as his wife, but I'm expected and will be called on it if I don't, and to remember how to talk to him. There's a certain level of respect that I think is absolutely required, even when I'm angry. And if I fail to do so, he will remind me to. He absolutely will. But I was talking to somebody online yesterday, I think, about how it looks in public, because I think people have this idea that we're, wearing leather and leashes walking down the street because we don't ever leave the dynamic. And I'm like, I promise you that is not a thing. Okay. I am a...
Well, and for somebody it may be, but like for me, no, he wouldn't do that, because most of us are professionals, and because of our professions and everything, we're held to a certain standard, and that would not be acceptable. Now, I might have a butt plug and ask for his cum, but you'll never know.
Butt plug is distinctly possible. That is absolutely possible. But you'd never know it to look at me. You would never see it because it's up under clothes. And, I wear my collar all the time, but it's not, that doesn't come off. For me, collar is the equivalent of my wedding ring. It doesn't come off.
He hasn't found a day-to-day collar. Like I do, but he has collar. I do have a collar that I wear, but it's too heavy for me to wear, like to work or out and about. And the few times I did wear it out and about, I got some odd looks.
Oh, I take that back. I did take it off yesterday actually for a period of time because we were going to the gym because we went to work out and I was doing a mixed fit class. It's like a dance cardio kind of thing. And it was going to be an hour of bouncing around and dancing and getting my workout in that way. And he asked me before we left if I wanted to take it off because we were afraid that it was going to whack the living daylights out of my collarbone the whole time I was doing it. And I was like, yeah, that's probably best, and that's going to hurt. So we took it off, and then he put it back on me when I got home. But for the most part, it remains on in sort of medical emergencies. After the car wreck, when my last one was taken off of me by the paramedics and then lost, I was so lost for like 3 weeks until we replaced it. I was so sad.
I know, I remember.
Yeah, it was terribly upsetting to me, but you know, it happened. But when I was talking to somebody online about it, and they were talking about asking permission, because that's the biggest difference between, I think, me and most other wives out there, wives, girlfriends, partners, what have you. I don't generally tell him what I'm going to do so much as ask him if I can do something. And at home, that looks a lot like me asking him, Master, may I? Or if the kids are awake, sir or my love, is it okay? You know, in public, it's usually sir or my love, because those raise less eyebrows. And the question becomes less, can I have or can I get, may I, you know, what have you. And what we've settled on is the phrasing that is used in my house is, do you mind if I?
Yeah.
Because that sounds polite to most people, but to him, he knows exactly what that means. And
that's
so,
like what I do with.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I get? With Tigger, I'll send him, like, if I see a picture or if I see, like, which I do a lot of online shopping, to be fair, so I just send him screenshots. Be like, okay, this is what I have in the cart. Is this okay? Is this price okay? Do you want me to change anything? Which, funnily enough, the website I shop on, he has subscribed to, and will send, like, coupons and everything. He'll go look himself and be like, well, I like that, that, and that. I really don't like that. I don't think you will either. So, because generally our tastes follow each other. We have similar tastes. We're polar opposites in a lot of ways, but in other ways, our tastes follow each other, like similar colors, and whatnot. Like, we have similar tastes in colors and stuff. Like, I have, like, a spectrum of certain colors, and he has his. And, like, like with my hair, whenever I got it done and everything, I asked him if that was okay, and he said it was. Anytime I change my hair color, especially whenever I get the sun colors put in it like I did recently, I always ask him, is this okay? And I mentioned, you know, I need to check with my boyfriend or my other half or my split apart, or if I need to check with Tigger, and they'll all kind of look at me like, why are you asking his permission? And be like, because I want his opinion too, and it's a polite thing to do. And they're like, oh, okay. I asked my husband, I asked my boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean,
and that's usually, I get that a lot with my nails. Mine's usually my nails. I've cut my hair the same color for a long time now, and we discussed it before I did it, and he likes this color, so we just leave it. I just use the same one. But my nails are my thing, and he knows that. And he will periodically tell me, go and get them done, because the money's there. Do we have the money for you to do that? Because I handle most of the budgeting at my house. I'm in charge of that. That's something, I don't have the right to demand control over any particular area. That is not what this is, because I gave that up when I took the collar. But there are certain things that I am in charge of, so to speak, simply because he has decided that he wishes for me to be in charge of those things.
Right.
Making sure bills get paid and knowing how much money is in the account versus how much has to go out for various things. That's one of the ways that I serve him, is being able to say, I know how much is in the bank account. This is how much is in there. This is what needs to come out. This is what we have free and clear. And that way we both know what we can and can't spend. If there's money, he'll tell me, go get my nails done. But before I go, I have a whole Pinterest board just for nails, specifically so that I can go to him and say, okay, look, this is what I'm looking at. I like the way this looks, or this, which one do you like? So that when I can go in there, I can tell them.
Well, generally I always ask him, like, I've got an appointment coming up. I need to ask him anyway that I want to see about getting mine done because, like, once a month or every 2 weeks, um, I go get mine done because the way I work, it's a pampering thing, it's a self-care thing. It's just like yoga. It's something just for me. And he understands that and he respects that. And so, like, if I'm wanting to get a new outfit, which I'll look and see if I can do both nails and outfit, or if I need and whatever. And talk to him about it, and it's like I got a new outfit, like a hoodie, like a new hoodie and a new shirt and some leggings, and it would have cost what it would have taken to get my nails done. So I held off on my nails for that, and he was okay with it. Notoriously, I'm bad with money because you have with the depression and everything. You have I was taught to do retail therapy whenever everything that happened to me, and it was a bad habit. So we're having to readjust some of that, and it's so much easier on me just to ask him, okay, this is my paycheck, this is what I want to do, these are the bills, can I do this feasibly, do you think? And if so, then yes, if not, we can always do it later. So.
And see, in our house, it's largely the opposite because I'm better with money typically than he is. And so he will say to me, is there money for blah? Yes, there's money for that. Is there money for this? No, we can't right now because this, and this still have to come out. And because I manage the money, it's so funny when I got a pair of those LuLaRoe leggings that I love. They're so soft and so comfy, and I like them. And he likes them, but they're also fairly expensive. And I catch them when they're on sale or whatever, or discounted and things like that, but I don't always get to get them because they're fairly expensive. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to get any more, I guess, because these are fairly expensive. They're like $25 a pair normally, just for the leggings. And he just looks at me, he's like, well, you're in charge of the money. I don't care what you buy once the bills are paid. Just make sure we have what we need. And I'm going, okay, cool. But like nails, I don't go get those done with a fucking man. Anytime. That's not a thing. Can I? May I? There's a lot of asking permission. Is it okay if I dye my hair? Do you like this color? Is this color acceptable to you? Yeah. I want a new tattoo, and that is something we will absolutely discuss before it is put on my body. He has no problem with me having tattoos, but he gets a vote in what they are. The one on my wrist, we had discussion.
But not really. But he one of the tattoos I've gotten, he's like made suggestions like for the placement and the type of tattoo and whatnot. Like my little bird I have where I've got that little tufted titmouse on underneath my left collarbone. He suggested that after I had a serious I scared him, and it takes a lot to scare him. And I had a serious meltdown. I was just God crying for hours at how I wanted to die. And trigger warning for people that are listening. I was talking about how I wanted to die, how I wanted to kill myself. I was asking if he would take my cats because if he would take care of them because I just couldn't do this anymore. And I was falling apart. And he's like, you have got to get on antidepressants. You have got to do something. And he said, you can't keep living like this. And he said, and I don't want to lose you. And he said, we will get through this. It will be all right, but we've got to get something in place for you. Thankfully, he said and most of that, not just you. Some of it I had to do, like the antidepressants, counseling, and all that, and the journaling. But he made the point to say, we will be okay. We will get through this. To show that he would stand with me. He has been through hell and high water with me. He has fought so much in the last 5 years, almost 6 years, with me and everything from being with a horrible ex-boyfriend to the extreme depression that hit me and everything in the last couple of years and extreme anxiety. And he has been my rock, and I think that's the thing about one of the key differences, I think, with like our dynamic. Like our being like those in the community, those in the lifestyle, and most people that are vanilla. We have a different level of trust because the stuff that we submit to and surrender to, there is power in what we do. Because we do hold all the power. All we have to do is say a safe word or talk to them later and be like, hey, you know, I wasn't even as slaves. Even from the slaves I've talked to, I'm not a slave, I'm a submissive. And I tend to be a little, and I tend to have little tendencies. But I'm not a little, I'm a submissive. And it's like, I'll sit like, but we have the power. We can sit and talk to them and be like, you know, this bothers me, or I didn't like that. And like whenever he had me drink, whenever I was on my knees in his shower drinking his piss before he actually pissed on me and everything, because he had never done that and he wanted to try it. After he did that later on, we were in bed and he was holding me and doing, of course, giving aftercare and stroking my hair, and he asked me what I thought, if it was okay with me. He wanted to make sure I was okay. And I think that's one thing that we have in our relationship, that a lot of people don't have necessarily in the vanilla world. We're more candid because of the things that we do. There's more trust, because I wouldn't trust just anybody to tie me up and beat my ass with a belt or anything else. Somebody would get their jobs, they would get their head knocked off because of doing something like that. But him, I trust to do that. And I'm sure you trust trust your other half with that.
We play with electricity at my house, and electricity is by definition a risky play.
Yeah, and he's gonna start that with me too. By the way, I'm excited.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites, but it is by definition risky, and it's largely the reason that I stopped identifying with. We don't use the safe, sane, consensual acronym at my house very much, and I say that because very little of what we do can be considered fully safe, and by definition, a lot of what we do wouldn't be considered sane. But
I think that goes for anybody. Well, yeah. I think that goes for anybody in the lifestyle, because like he, like with me, whenever, I don't know if he actually did for like 30 minutes. It felt like it was forever. So whenever he whipped me and everything, it was a paddle, it was belt, it was paddle, belt, crop, flogger, back to the belt, back to the paddle, hand, and it was just like endless. And technically that's not sane either, but in our lifestyle it is. And it's for us, it's okay.
It makes sense. I took to using the RAC acronym, which they tell you is relatively new. It's risk aware consensual kink, and a lot of what we do is exactly that. We take steps to minimize the risks. We're very careful with what we do.
Right.
The man has set me on fire, however. So, to be fair.
I see. I would be fine going that route and everything, by doing the cupping. I would be perfectly okay with that. Because I trust him entirely. I mean, if you wanted to go into
the higher percentage rubbing alcohol on the skin, you touch flame to just the fumes above the skin, so it's not actually on, but it lights those fumes up and they flare and then go down really very quickly, and it feels really, really cool. But there are risks. I mean, obviously, there's fire. I mean, the man set me on fire.
Even like with candle wax and stuff like that, there's a risk. I mean, because I can still blister
there's always.
You. And
there's
and
we play with a ball chain flogger with the violet wand, and that has risks. But I also have an absolute implicit level of trust. I've been told a couple times that 24/7, particularly slaves like myself, don't have safe words, and I'm here to put that myth to bed right now. We absolutely do.
And if you cannot have a safe word with your dominant or your master or your mistress or your dom, he, she, or they, whatever, tells you no, safe word, run to the hills. They are fucking dangerous, because anyone worth their salt, mine, he tends to have sadistic tendencies. I have masochistic, and I'm just straight up masochist in addition to everything else. But he's always in tune and always paying attention. I have had the misfortune of meeting and playing with dominants that do not, and I ended up hurt. And
I have too.
I'm sure you remember having to help me pick up the pieces before he came along.
Oh yeah.
So,
and, in the time that we've been together, I've never actually needed my safe word. I want to, put that out there. I've never needed it. Not once have I needed a safe word with him. Because we are so incredibly bonded, and he's so incredibly in tune with me that he knows before I do sometimes when I've had enough.
Yes.
And when it's time to stop.
Right.
He also knows, and from a day-to-day standpoint, he also knows that means there are certain things that are not realistic to expect, too.
Right.
I don't have to tell him
Tigger.
That's not reasonable.
Right, and that's like with Tigger and everything. He keeps in mind about my medical conditions and stuff like that. And he is always he always keeps them at the forefront of his mind. And even whenever he's punishing me or whenever we're just playing or whatever, if he's ordering me food, I mean, he kept in mind about my food allergies. And he knew that I was tired because I'd worked a 16-hour shift, and I had got down there and everything after maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep and laid my head in his lap, and he rubbed my head and I fell asleep. And it's just, but I mean, that's what they do.
He will come over and he knows I've had a bad day. He did it the other day to me. He was like, it's been a really long week. It's been a really long day. He's like, come here. Come cuddle me. And cuddle me in my house means curl up next to him and lay my head on his chest. And I joke that he has the magic chest because I have to sit up sometimes because I know I have something else to do. Because if I sit there for very long, I'm going to just fall asleep right there. Because I feel so totally safe and so totally comfortable. And, and that is a huge part of our dynamic, is the fact that I know and trust, and we have that affection. And I think you probably know this as well as anybody else, especially because you guys don't live together right now. Just because we're not having kinky sex right this minute doesn't mean we're not submitting. We absolutely are, in a myriad of ways, every single day, whether we're in the bedroom or not. In fact, I tell people 90% of what we do in this dynamic for he and I, 90% of it has very little to do with, little or nothing to do with sex. Now, we have a fantastic sex life. Well, let me just say that. But it's so much more.
It's like whenever I got down there to see him and everything, whenever I got off work and came home and slept and everything, then went down there to see him, I mentioned I was because I was wearing his favorite colors as my bra and panties. So I asked him if I could surprise him. He told me I could, and I was like, okay. So I wore his royal blue lace panties and royal blue bra, and he had me lay down on the couch, stretch out, and put my head in his lap, and he was peeking down my shirt to see what I was wearing. And then I had to go do something, and he pulled my leggings down in the back, and he's like, oh, you are wearing blue, and then started to proceed to spank me in the living room. As hard, and I'm just sitting here right. So I don't know if ours is more sexual. Huh?
Yeah, he'll come in periodically and be like, ooh, booty. And then just go on his way. And I'm like, I mean, okay.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, I have a very nice booty, as he has said repeatedly. So I asked him, do you like my butt? And he's like, yes, I like your butt.
Yeah, he's very fond of it. He's like, woohoo, let me see that booty. And I'm like, okay. I wear things inside the house that I would never wear outside the house. I have these little pajama short things that are very, very short. Cannot wear them outside the house because all kind of things are on display that don't need to be on display to the general public. And he has absolute faith that I will wear these things in the house so he can look at my booty, but I don't wear them out of the house. He has absolute faith. I got a random online message on an app last week, and he was thoroughly annoyed because he thought it was incredibly rude. And I was like, don't worry, I shut it down because somebody messaged you. You trust me implicitly too, with the, well, do you want to soldier? And I was like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that my master/husband would probably object. Just going to point that out. And, this guy's going, well, did you have to know? Yes. There's literally nothing that happens in my life that he doesn't know. Literally nothing. I
love those messages. I usually send them, forward them too. my listen to Tigger and everything with screenshots and let him do it. That's horrible.
Check it out. Isn't that funny? It's like, yeah, no, not even. It's like he thinks it's hilarious, frankly, because he knows full and dang well that they're not going to get anywhere because that's not a thing. We have some open-mindedness toward poly, but we are not currently engaged in any kind of poly situation, and so because, like I said, because again, this isn't about sex for us, and what we have can't be replicated with really anybody else, honestly.
Right.
The bond there, that trust, that level of day-to-day, we had a whole discussion about it in our relationship because I had literally told him he felt early on that he felt like he wasn't getting the kinds of demonstrations of submission that he thought he wanted. And I was like, what? I don't understand what you're talking about. I do all these things. These are signs of submission. I do this and I do this and I do this. And he's like, okay, but that's just normal relationship stuff. That's what all married people do. And I had to point out to him that no, it is in fact not. That in the outside world, outside of this type of relationship, most wives do not in fact bring their husband's plates. That's not a thing that most women do today. It just isn't. And it's little things. You know, she may do meal planning. Lots of women do meal planning for their homes. They don't necessarily go, here's my tentative meal plan. Please give me the go-ahead. Is this okay?
Right.
They just announce this is what we're having. Whereas in my house, I make the meal plan, tentative meal plan, and go, okay, this is what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts? Are you okay with this plan? Then he'll often, most of the time, he goes, no, that looks good. And other times he'll go, no, I don't want that. Make this instead. Okay.
Right.
I can
Well, no, whenever my mom and dad were together and they did stuff like that, Mom basically told them either like it or don't. I don't give a damn.
Right, exactly. And that's pretty common, I think, in your vanilla marriages and things like that. And, you know, in my, even my baby sister's house, because they are not in the lifestyle, it's, I've made food, even if she's the one cooking, and she doesn't cook every night. I do, but she doesn't. And she'll be like, okay, there's food in the kitchen. Go fix you a plate. And 99% of the time when we sit down to eat, I fix the children their plates because they are children and children always eat first in my house. We feed the children. And then I fix him a plate or bowl or whatever we're having and bring it to him. And then I fix my own because that's one of the ways that it manifests for us.
Well, now, like with mine and everything, whenever I saw him and he had ordered pizza for us and stuff like that, because I hadn't had any pizza that I could actually eat due to the dairy allergies, and that's to clarify for everybody listening, he would fix my plate for me, which he said, you know, one, the kitchen was a wreck, and two, you know, I had worked, because he's typical bachelor, he's like, you know, you've worked 16 hours, just relax, it's okay. So, I mean,
and
there was like a double.
I do that a lot more with the littles and baby girls. The daddy doms, I think, do that a little more. At my house, that's a rare thing. Although if I'm sick, he will. Okay, like, let me get you something, baby, because, I mean, I may be a slave, but he still loves me. And it's, do you need anything? And, you know, I run his bath, little things like that. You know, when he wants to take a bath, I'll go run you a bath. And I'll go in and run the bath and throw in, we have these, because we live in Colorado when the air is so dry, we have moisturizing, they have like shea butter and almond oil or something in them, Epsom salts, and they're really, really good for helping keep our skin a little moist because it tends to get dry. And so I'll go run him a bath and throw in the Epsom salts and be like, it's ready for you whenever you're ready. These are things, this is how it looks at my house. And like I said, it's a little more Leave It to Beaver, a little more, Brady Bunch than 50 Shades. 50 Shades is not an accurate depiction of what it looks like on a 24/7 basis. It looks like any other marriage, except I jokingly tell everybody that I look like a Stepford wife. I'm only half joking. I mean, I have thoughts. Yeah, I'm a little too opinionated for that, and frankly, I don't think he would enjoy it very much because he likes the ability to have intellectual conversations with me about, you know, shared interests and things. And we sat down. What does it look like? What does my life look like? We sat down and watched the People Magazine investigates cults. We watched the Charlie Manson episode because it was interesting and we wanted to watch it. And so we sat down and watched it and had debates and things about how Charlie Manson did what he did. And we watched the Bundy tapes and how Bundy did what he did. And these are things that we talk about. We talk about politics, and he'll tell you that unlike the common misconception about slaves, I think, is that, you know, he likes the fact that I have, when it comes to things like politics, for example, I'm probably more well-versed in that particular area than he is. And so I will often be the one to go, okay, what is this about? Okay, well, this is what they're talking about. This is the deal. This is, you know, what I think about it. This is what some other people think about it. And then he, of course, forms his own opinion. Could he tell me how to vote? He could. That's the dynamic. He certainly could. He's not going to, however, because he has way too much respect for my brain than that. He's never going to tell me how to vote. That's not what he wants. And it's not, I don't spend a lot of my time naked, and I don't greet him at the door on my knees every night because, and yes, for a session, for a night when we go to bed, if we're feeling it that night, it might be take your clothes off, get on your knees, because that's fun. But when he gets home from work, he gets a hug and a kiss and a how was your day, baby, just like any other husband. And you know,
whenever we were waiting on, whenever I went down there to see him and everything, now he did, after he ordered food, I don't remember who started kissing who or how that got started, but one thing led to another, and I was on my knees willingly. And it surprised him that I did it myself, and then had me go into the bedroom and everything and told me strip. And I'm very shy because I don't like my body, and tried to hide, and he would not let me. Like, I kept trying to keep my legs closed, not meaning to. It was just nature, and
natural.
He'd kind of like lightly smack my thighs. Yeah, he'd smack my thighs, like, no, spread, and yeah. So
one of the few times I have actually gotten in trouble over something I don't get in trouble, as I said, very much anymore, because I don't have the general understanding at this point in our relationship is, you know what the expectations are. You know, I don't need to stay on you all the time. And, you know, I know what the rules are. I know what the expectations are. And I'm happy to meet them because that's the kind of partner that I am. I'm not, like I said, I don't do the brat thing, generally speaking. And so, but he did get real angry, like legitimately mad, because I had failed to tell him something that he should have known. And it wasn't I wasn't lying or hiding things per se. It was more, I need to know how you are doing, how you are feeling. I have chronic health conditions, and I had not told him what was going on and how I was actually physically feeling at that moment. And that legitimately upset him, because he was like, no, that is not okay. You do not get to decide what I need to know. And I was like,
right.
No,
and that's understandable too.
Yeah, he was legitimately mad about it. And I was like, look, I don't want to feel like I'm whining or whatever. And he's like, no, I can't be the master that I need to be if I don't know what's going on, because I don't want to push past those things that you need me to respect. And so, you know, he's fantastic about that sort of thing. And he'll often say to me, how are you feeling? Is this okay? Even if it's things we've done before, because sometimes it can trigger those health conditions and stuff like that. And so he will, is it okay? Is this okay? Are you okay with this right now, today?
Yep.
And, you know, he's incredibly great about that. And so, yeah, we have fantastic hot kinky sex. But most of our life, it's really not about that. We have a lot of, let's cuddle on the couch and watch a movie. What do you want for dinner? Are we going to the gym tomorrow? We're very boring, I promise.
We probably are too, but that's okay. So,
yeah, and so that's I think the biggest thing that I wanted to cover here is to say, you know, yeah, what we wish you knew, we're not so different than everybody else, with a few subtle things. And if you look, you've probably seen, I told somebody the other day, I was like, you've probably walked past 24/7 submissives and slaves in public more times than you realize. You just don't recognize it because you're looking for, you know, the leash and leather and all those things. And we're going, yeah, and except that, you know, about 95% of the time, it doesn't look like that. Not for
And
us.
leather chafes anyway, so.
Yeah, it gets hot and there's all kinds of sweat and you don't want to do that. It's not a good thing. And so,
Right.
you know, I wear my collar, but I don't get leashed when we go out in public. We go to the grocery store like everybody else. And,
No.
you know, I feed him. I make dinner for my family, same as any other wife. Now, I bring him a plate, which most of the women out there probably don't. But, you know, it's little stuff. And so, you know, we don't look quite as differently as people might think. I think next week I want to kind of cover a little bit, just as a promo before we wrap up here. I think next week what I'd like to cover is kind of a little bit more about how one gets started in a 24/7 situation, because I don't think it's something people realize. I think people think you can just kind of jump into it, and it often doesn't really work very well. To just be like, we're doing this now. Yeah, no, not really. So I want to kind of have a conversation about how that happens and, you know, what some of the pitfalls can be when getting started, because I think I've seen people go down some really funky paths trying to do this. And so that's, I think, what we'll be discussing next weekend. And
That's
I will be
me,
here.
I'm sure I'm a good one to discuss.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have you come back with us next week and discuss with us next weekend a little bit about that, just because I've been doing it for a really long time, like way longer than I care to admit. And
And do you remember the disasters that hit whenever our place started?
Yeah, and so we'll get on and discuss about that next week.